All right, good morning, comrades. Thanks for joining us this morning. Time is now 0900 hours Eastern Standard Time on September the 14th. And I would like to welcome everyone to this call. Thank you for carving out time in your busy schedule. I know how it is, so I truly appreciate it. So what we're going to do is first talk about why we consolidated all of these collaboratives into one, because I know some of you all may be wondering, well, we had Baltimore, Anne Arundel, Howard, Harford County. What happened to those? Well, the idea is to bring them all together and we can cross-pollinate and talk about the best practices and lessons learned across all of our counties. Doesn't mean that you all shouldn't still do your own county thing, but this once a month, 1 hour event will hopefully bring together and synergize our efforts because I know time is valuable, it's at a premium, and this is one of the reasons why we decided to consolidate. And also, I wanted the counties to still have a significant role in these collaboratives. So for example, this meeting here is basically sponsored by Anne Arundel County. So I'm going through the counties in alphabetical order, and we're looking at each of the top priorities in order of how many or what percentage the counties or the pain points are reflected across Central Maryland. So that's the method to the madness. Hopefully you all understand the reason behind this new format. So with that said, what I'm going to do, we have about, how many people? 24 people. I'm going to put you out in breakout rooms. One round, it's going to be about 3 to 4 of you all. The question of the day, because this collaborative is about employment, which is the top priority across Central Maryland. That's what most of our veterans and family members and service members are having issues with. The question of the day is, what barrier to employment are you seeing or are you experiencing in your area? So that's the question. Once we put you all in breakout rooms to discuss, we will be in there for about 5 minutes. So please, again, address the question, what barriers to employment are you seeing in your organization or are you experiencing? So give me a few moments while I put you all in breakout rooms.
Good morning, Dr. X. I can't hear you.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Everyone's in breakout rooms now, so I will assign you to a breakout room.
Okay.
Let me see here.
Join.
Hello, everyone. Everyone's in breakout rooms now, so I'm trying to assign you all to breakout rooms. You should see a message asking you to join one. As you all are joining the call, I'm placing you all in breakout rooms. You should see a message on your screen asking you to join the breakout room. We'll be in the breakout room for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Let's see who's not assigned. Okay. So, Sherry. Hello, Chris or Sherry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Sherry, I see that you're on the phone, so you won't be able to go into a breakout room, will you?
No.
Okay, no worries. Just hang out until they come back.
Okay, thank you.
And Chris, can you hear me? Okay, Chris, you hang out until we get back. Any participants?
Well, silly me clicked the wrong button. I was still talking. They're probably like, where'd she go?
Hey, no worries. Silly me. Hey, I broke you out into breakout rooms and I said, okay, 30 seconds. And then I hit close breakout rooms and said, hey, I'm giving you 60 seconds to come back. I'm like, okay.
Like,
Anyway,
yeah.
it's okay.
It's not even a Monday and I just got back from vacation, so I can't say I need a vacation. So what's going on? Or
It's all
caffeine?
good. Yeah, I'm out of town as well, so I get it. I'm
Yeah.
in Central Time right now, so I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's like an hour, right? Hour behind?
yeah,
Okay. And that hour, like,
yeah. It makes a difference.
mhm.
It makes a difference. So, all right, everyone is coming back. All right.
Quick 5 minutes, X.
What's that?
That was a quick 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was fast. It was quick, fast. So at this time, in lieu of having everyone introduce themselves, this is now an invitation for you to share your LinkedIn link, your email, your phone number, your website into the chat pod. Because we have a lot of people here, it'll take us too much time to go through everyone to give an intro. So at this time, I invite you to just pop in your LinkedIn profile link, email, phone, website, whatever information you feel comfortable with. This will be captured and will be shared after the meeting. So that's one way to get our information out there. I'm looking for our guest speaker. Let's see. And I want to introduce Cynthia as my co-facilitator. Cynthia is here. I'm not seeing our guest speaker, Joseph Salaki. Are you out there? Okay, I'm not seeing him. Hey, monitor and adjust. So at this time, I would like to give those breakout rooms an opportunity for one person from each breakout room to just share a couple of minutes and consolidate what was said or what was a large takeaway, a big takeaway from your short discussion in your breakout room. So you can please come off mute and share something that you talked about in your breakout room. Over.
Hey, X, I'll kick us off just to give people some time to finish typing their stuff in the chat. So
Okay.
we did a quick little level set in our room to figure out what's their role in employment? Are they the placement people? Are they the receiver of referrals? Are they the giver of referrals? And no one in our group was actually like, that is their main focus, that is their primary job, but we all do occasionally run into someone that reaches out, and how do we go about getting them to the help that they need? So most of it seemed to be building that Rolodex and knowing where to go and how to do it. We did talk about our own individual barriers with our agencies and how that works, but then we ran out of time because we had 2 other people join kind of later in the call, so we didn't get to them yet. So more to come from them, but that was helpful for us in figuring out, how do you touch the employment space? And even if you don't, spoiler alert, you actually do. So it was kind of neat to figure that out and kind of walk through some of that. So I can go into more detail, but I'll pipe down because I see the chat's flowing and see who else wants to share from their group.
Okay, thanks, Cynthia. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
Good morning, everybody. I can share for our group. My name is Jennifer. I'm a disabled veteran outreach specialist for the state of Maryland in the Baltimore County area. I put my information down in the chat. So if you have a veteran or know a veteran that needs assistance in free training, more education, or employment opportunities, you can just have them give me an email, or they can walk into any American Job Center. There are like 2,500 nationwide, and there's 35 in the state of Maryland. So wherever you are within Maryland, you will find American Job Center and a DVOP. So what we talked about in my group was a lack of transportation. So if they just get a position, they might need assistance with transportation for that first couple months. We have resources in for resume help. We put technology, and for spouses, we put childcare. If their husband is active duty, then childcare is very expensive. So we put that as a potential dilemma.
Thanks for sharing that, Jennifer. And transportation is something that we don't really think about. You know, you may get a job, but how do you get there? So thank you for sharing that not so obvious pain point. Anyone else?
To piggyback on Jennifer, in our group, we did have two people that got to discuss, and transportation was also the number one thing. They said they could get a job, but sitting on a bus for an hour and a half is just not going to be feasible for them. You know, we did get to throw out that there are some organizations out there, nonprofit organizations, or even some organizations that can help out veterans or individuals in general with like rent to own vehicles, even if they have very bad credit with very minimal money down. And each of our counties have programs like that. Baltimore, I know, has some, and Arundel does, you know, Frederick does. And so if you're close enough to those, you could probably access those for additional resources for those veterans. So that's what we had discussed in our group as well.
Well, I'm sure there's someone on here that did not know that that program existed. So that's wonderful. Thanks, Danny. And if you have a link to any of those resources, please drop that in the chat. Thank you. Anyone else?
Our group talked a little bit about, mine was making sure being able to find jobs that are willing to take entry-level veterans, veterans who might be transitioning careers, or, you know, even somebody giving a chance for a paid internship or something like that. The other person in my group talked about how finding formal educational training can be difficult sometimes, and getting that, you know, compiling all of those skills into something formal from their resumes, from their from, you know, the military and things.
Well, thanks for that, Julie. And when you think entry level, you think, oh, okay, this is a young airman soldier. No, what about those who got up in rank and even, you know, retired as a senior NCO or an officer, and they want to change what they were doing? Perhaps they were in maybe security forces, and now they have maybe some issues with that. And now they're like, you know what, I want to do something else. But guess what? Now you're in your, you know, maybe late 30s, 40s, and you're trying to get an entry-level job in something that you may be passionate about, but you know, you're having a hard time doing that because they're looking at your resume and they're only seeing security forces assignments. So thank you for sharing, Julie. Who else?
Dr. X, Bob at Hartford County. Now, one thing kind of piggybacking off of that, we've had within our Veterans Commission have had several different organizations come up and talk about what they can do and how they can hire veterans. And then one thing that they always end it with is that they get a lot of veterans come up, as you said, maybe they're transitioning, they're E6, E7, 04, 05, and all of a sudden now they've got to drop down, and now they've got to take this pay. And they say that it's not, even with the military retirement or transitioning, it's not enough. And they said that is one of the biggest stigmas that they have. And this is across several different companies that say that they, you know, trying to counsel somebody and let them know that you're not going to be making all that. You've got to work your way back up. Yeah, you did all these great things. So they said in a lot of cases that's going to be an issue. Now, what we have done is work with you know, Joe Giordano and Project Opportunity, and we've got a pretty good class right now that's going on, and that's, you know, another way for entrepreneurs to get in there. But that other one is the one kind of thing that we're hearing more and more about the pay, the low pay. And we do work with DLLR, and they do a fantastic job. Jorge Cruz and his group there do a fantastic job with getting people and matching them to the specific job.
Bob, that's because I have a personal experience with that, like thinking, oh, I should be making, you know, 150, 175, 200 at least. And you don't get those knocks on the doors, you don't get those calls, you don't get those emails that you think you should get when you would get out, or you have all this experience, and you think, and people are telling you that, oh yeah, you shouldn't have an issue at all getting a good job, and you do. And now here comes depression, anxiety, worry, and it can really affect us mentally and emotionally. So thanks for sharing that, Bob. Who else would like to share?
This is Dana Burrow with MDVA. I can share for our group. One of the themes that we discussed was criminal history, mitigating eligibility. Gentleman from the Veterans Treatment Court mentioned that, which comes as no surprise given the space in which he works. Access to childcare and a disconnect between the employer who is hiring and the veteran who is seeking the job. I mentioned we just came off of the heels of the Maryland Military Installation Council meeting on Monday, and the military installations in Maryland are bleeding for an increase to their workforce. I mean, the job openings that they were talking about are just almost frightening. So I just mentioned, there just seems to be this disconnect between the employer who is seeking to hire and the job seeker, whether that's the veteran or the family member.
Yeah, thank you. And that disconnect is, man, people leave jobs and leave organizations because of the disconnect versus the actual job. That's what I'm hearing. So thank you for sharing that, Dana. Who else would like to share?
One thing that I forgot to mention in our group was that our men especially struggle with, because a lot of jobs require online applications. And a lot of our men, excuse me, don't know how to do that. They've been out of the workforce. They've been in treatment for many years. They've been on the streets. So they don't even understand how to go and fill out an application for employment. So we try and work with, Hopkins or volunteers to get them to come in. But if there are programs out there that they can participate in to really hone in on their computer skills, and especially how to do that, that would be great for me to know.
Yeah, Kim, and that can be frustrating. Think about if you're a veteran and you're not tech savvy, you're an older veteran or Vietnam veteran, and you have all these issues, but everything is like using a computer and mobile devices, things of that nature. So that can be frustrating because that's not a skill that you had to have while you're in. So that's frustrating. So, man, I'm glad you all are bringing these up because I'm sure there are some opportunities to fix that in some ways. So thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Who else would like to share?
I'll say something. So one of the things we talked about in our group was underemployment. And so I was mentioning that I do get like a weekly job list from Susquehanna Workforce, which is probably about 3 pages full of jobs. But they're usually the manufacturing, fabricating, transportation type things. And I did have a request from a veteran who called who was seeking a job. And when I sent him the list, he said, I have a master's degree. Like, that's not the employment I'm looking for. And so at that point, I was sort of at a loss to, like, how do you find jobs that are, on that level of education or experience?
Yeah, absolutely. They feel like it's a slap in the face. Like, wait a minute, I have a master's, I have a doctorate. I need at least 6 figures. You offer me 75? I can't deal with that. I can't do anything with that. So
Dr. X, if I could piggyback here or jump in here and suggest something for higher level veterans that have higher level skills, degrees, maybe they were in those positions, an officer or higher enlisted. There are several military placement focused companies out there. The veterans will not pay for it. That will specialize in finding them the most. Their entire job is just to get these veterans positions, higher level positions. I used to work for one of them called Bradley Morris. Bradley Morris is a veteran focused one. Cameron Brooks is another veteran focused headhunting agency. These are organizations that have relationships with high level organizations, Amazon, Deloitte, consulting companies, and basically will negotiate a high level salary because they only get paid if a percentage of your salary. So it behooves them to get you the biggest salary possible as well. But organizations like that are available for those higher skilled veterans that are looking for a little bit more of a niche type of position. So that could be a resource for those types of individuals.
Fantastic. Thanks, Danny. And now we're going to shift gears and go to our peer navigator at Serving Together. Thought I saw Beatrice Mendez on the call. We're going to shift over to her to see, okay, what are we seeing? What did we see last month? What are we projected to see here in the coming months what can we provide, what we need now, and perhaps a success story that has been a recent one in our community. So over to you, Beatrice.
Okay. Hi, so I'm Beatrice Mendez. So I'm the Senior Veteran Peer Navigator at Serving Together. We are more working in the Coordination Center for veterans and their families in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia regions. What we have seen mostly in the past month has been a lot of legal, a lot of financial and rental assistance. It has been difficult to find, at least for legal and financial assistance for these veterans. We do have a limited resources for that for them. So we are projecting to see a lot more financial assistance, holiday assistance in the next coming months. Mostly is something that they start seeing is a lot of assistance requests within the fall times. And we're trying to amp up that and trying to find more organizations that are able to help with legal, with financial, with employment as well. A success story that I can kind of talk about and then also see there's still, it's a great success story, but it's also a story where they're still needing more resources. We had a homeless veteran that was homeless for about 6 months. We were able to connect them with an organization to find stable housing. But now this veteran is coming back because she has so many bills piled up from when she was homeless. She is a VA service connected veteran, but she cannot keep up with all these past due bills. She cannot even fathom to think how she will even pay her rent for next month because she is trying to catch up with her bills as well. And again, within that, it's a success story because she was able to find stable housing, but now we have to figure out how can we keep helping these veterans not go back into homelessness and keep them in that stable environment.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, Beatrice. That's a lot. But now that we've kind of talked about what is needed now, what is projected, and an example that we saw with the lady. Now I want to shift over and provide Cynthia an opportunity to facilitate discussion on what Beatrice just mentioned. Any questions and answers or discussion from what was just mentioned. Over to you, Cynthia.
Thanks, X. I also want to maybe include some of the things that we talked about in the earlier one about specific to employment as well. But as we talked about some of those themes there, also the financial assistance, holiday assistance, kind of the things you tend to see this time of year. So I'll open the floor up to folks. What are you seeing in your areas? What do you need to partner with? Or specific to any of those, what are you doing now to get ahead of those holiday, the increase in the holiday requests? So just going to open it up to everyone. Want this to be as much of a discussion as possible. And please don't feel it's going to be call and response. If you have a service or some way to build a bridge for somebody's need, please jump in. Don't feel we have to just go round robin and go about it that way. All right, Danny, I saw you unmuted. Go ahead.
So Cindy, you're talking about specifically like financial assistance and what resources there could be out there for that? Is that what you're?
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, it's kind of anything you need because we kind of ran the gamut on all of those with the financial assistance, holiday assistance. So if there's any pressing need that you're seeing an uptick in trend or that is coming because it comes this time of year regularly. Oh, y'all are never this shy.
I did want to mention too that what we have been doing as well within the coordination center is we've been using a lot of out-of-network resources to provide that gap that we're seeing when it comes to financial and rental assistance. So yes, we are using Maryland Veterans Trust Fund, but again, we also serve Virginia. We also send out of network resources sometimes to veterans that call in. We're seeing also an uptick of veterans calling in from out of state, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Kentucky, California, and still providing at least some type of resource for them. So we're using more out of network resources than in-network resources.
Well, I mean, I think that's going to be the key, though, right? Is continuing to be effective and being like flexible and bringing in other people, right? This is not a competition amongst each other. It's about having the best services for the veterans so that we can, provide them a wraparound service. Not any one of us can be everything for a veteran, right? It takes a village. This is our village to be able to bring veterans, to a level where they are now thriving in their own life, right? And so it takes some steps. I think a collaborative like this goes a long way, utilizing the resources through the Unitas platform for external resources and just educating ourselves on what are resources available out there. So Maryland, commitment to veterans or trust fund, that's huge as well. But you're talking about people externally. There are large national organizations that have assistance for veterans, emergency assistance as well. So you can look at like, Semper Fi Fund or Operation Homefront. Those are two large organizations that do direct financial resources. And then just really putting them into the right referral resources. And we get to learn that by showing up to these amazing meetings that they put together, and we get to learn what each other gets to do. So I think just continuing to educate ourselves and putting it out there for the veterans is going to be a big help.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Danny, I think that's a good point, because what I get in the Veterans Commission is a lot around Christmas time, around the holiday time in there, do get a lot of calls, and normally centered on benefits and healthcare. But when I start asking those questions, and look at that root cause, what it is that food insecurity. And why do I need all of a sudden, why am I also now applying or upgrading my benefits? And we have a fantastic working relationship with the Maryland VA, and they do some great things here. So we sit down with them as well as use some of those other ones. But I think that's a really good point you have to look at, though, is that do they have a job and where can they get a job? And if they don't have one, at least this last year, looking over some notes that I've got, what we had to do was reach out to some of those organizations. Mo has been fantastic. The DAV has been fantastic to provide some temporary help to get them over the hump, and then to help them kind of get their feet under them and then start and look for that employment, to get that employment out there. There are a lot of those holiday jobs, but they're just kind of like that. Sometimes they're short-lived, they're low paying. Things like that. And unfortunately, when somebody gets laid off right around the holiday time, it's crisis. And then you have to gear up on several fronts, holistically, and not just look at one thing or the next. So I think, what you said was a very good point there.
Yeah, Bob, and to one of the points that was raised earlier about education, I know it came up in our breakout room as well, is education certifications. And those are wonderful, but for most employers, if you can't show how you applied that in practice, that certification, that education, it doesn't go as far as it should. So the other thing is exposing some of the veterans to practical real world jobs. And I know that unfortunately for some, that may mean an unpaid internship, or if there's an option for an apprenticeship. But I did see two things called out in the chat that I wanted to touch on. I saw, Dana, you had mentioned the Veterans Trust Fund. Didn't know if you wanted to do like a quick little spiel on that. And then I was going to move into Lisa as well after that. So you're on deck to talk about the resource guide.
Yeah, so really quickly, hopefully most, if not all, of the folks on the call are aware of the Maryland Veterans Trust Fund. It is a 501c3 that our department operates. It has a pretty sizable balance in it right now. It primarily assists with eviction prevention, back rent, mortgage payments, as well as utilities. We have given out a record number of grants over the course of the last year. Mark Hendricks is our trust administrator, and I provided in the chat a link to his contact information as well as more information on eligibility. It is not designed, though, to assist on an emergency basis. So if you are working with an individual who, say, is being evicted tomorrow. It's probably still worth a phone call to Mark to see if there's anything that could be expedited, but it's not a guarantee that it's a quick turnaround. There is a trust fund committee that reviews the applications. So there is a application process, a review process. Historically, on average, it's taken about 2 weeks, but Mark has been able to do some intervention with landlords to advise them that he is currently working with a veteran to kind of give a bit of a bridge to enable that individual to stay in their residence. And then the other question that I was going to put in the chat, does anyone on this call have a consolidated list of points of contact for the various veteran service organizations in the state that we could refer a veteran to who might be experiencing financial difficulties? And what I mean when I say VSO is your DAV, your VFW, because historically what I have done is, is ask the veteran, are you a member of a post? Do you belong to the DAV? But it's really, really difficult when you don't have an actual person that you can refer someone to. So I'm just begging that question, if there is a list somewhere of VSOs and points of contact when it comes to financial assistance.
I'm gonna go over to, okay, go ahead, Danny, real quick, but then Silvana,
Well,
you're.
I was going to answer Dana's.
Go
So
ahead.
I would think Unite Us is probably the best platform because a lot of the VSOs are already assigned there. I know that my VFW post is on there as well as others. But you'll run into the same sort of issue where even the VFWs and DAVs, they're not a very quick response. I don't know. I don't want to speak for the DAV because I don't know them, but like American Legions and VFWs, they're all volunteer. If you're requesting money, we have to ask the post, right? We have to get a post approval, and we only have post meetings once a month. So if it's something where somebody needs something today, unless the post meeting's tonight, there's going to be very limited chance that if it's like maybe $300, the commander can approve it themselves, but you're going to run into that sort of hiccup as well. But in my instances, what I've done is I go on the Unite Us platform and I blast it to everybody, every single person that pops up on that list. Financial assistance, and I'll send it to all of them, and throw enough spaghetti against the wall, it's going to stick sometime. So
Thanks, Danny. So I know that I was going to pull on that thread that Dana had started there in terms of emergency assistance. So if anybody has additional resources in addition to Unite Us, and Dr. X, I don't know if you can drop the link in the chat as to how people, if they're not already in the Unite Us platform, how do they get on the platform? Silvana? Thank you for being so patient.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to ask Dana a quick question about the Maryland Veterans Trust Fund. I was not aware of it. Can the individual do the application, or do they need to be working with like an organization or an agency?
There does not need to be a pass-through. The veteran or the surviving widow or widower of an eligible veteran, they can contact Mark directly.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks.
So Dr. X, I guess in addition to that, is there a way to tag something as an emergency need for triage if you blast it out kind of the way Danny had set it up there in Unite Us? Is there a way to flag something urgency wise?
Yeah, that's a great question. Beatrice, could you speak on that?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Getting some static, sorry.
Sure. Is there a way to flag something like the example that Danny gave? He puts it in Unite Us and it kind of blasts everybody versus him needing to have a Rolodex and going through his logic tree of who he contacts first. Is there a way to flag something with like an emergency or urgent type request?
Usually what we do is, again, when we do that initial referral to whatever organization we find, we have to create a note for within that referral. So in that note, we will kind of flag sometimes like not too much information about the veteran, but enough for that organization to say, okay, so an example could be elderly veteran is past due, and I will upload their past due bill and say, they have 2 weeks for eviction. I will kind of put in that in some urgency. I will also follow up sometimes with what I have been doing is either calling the organization themselves or even emailing them when it comes to an urgency when a veteran does come and say, I have 2 weeks to pay my rent. So I do see that as more of an urgency. So I will try to connect them faster, and I will do that extra effort in trying to communicate with the organization to see what we can do to fast that process up.
Thank you, ma'am. And in case y'all missed it, Dana did include the link to the Veterans Trust Fund, which I believe that page also has the contact information as well. Lisa, this was a long pitching change warm up while you were on deck, but thank you. And the reason I wanted to nudge you was not just because you put the link on there, but that's kind of something we talked about in my breakout earlier about where do I go for those resources? And the thing about your resource guide is that it's not limited to just Howard County, or it's not limited to if I'm a Howard County resident only. And I think that's the thing. So it's one thing for us to get this resource list from you or to know Unitas is there, but what are we doing to take this further? So that only does me good if I know that I have the link and the person comes to me with the direct ask, but how do we get this blasted to everybody else? Oh, Lisa, we can't hear you though.
Now?
Yes, there you go.
Okay, I'll just unplug my earphones. I don't know why it's not working. No, I say I mean, the directory is really the labor of love of mine for like last several years, and just a compilation of resources, nonprofits, agencies that have, not all of them are specifically to veterans and militaries, but they have a component at least that they support that population. So I put the link in the chat box. So feel free at your leisure to take a look at that. And if there's a nonprofit or an organization that's doing really great work, we want to get them included. So I just need the content to add them. And I usually update the directory quarterly, and it's posted on my website all the time. And you're more than welcome to share it. Really just start with this group. I mean, I make it available whenever I can, but it's just a matter of sharing it and having it. I have had a lot of organizations say, oh, I have this at my fingertips. When I have, somebody call me, I'm like, oh, let me look at the list and, and see who can help. So yeah, any suggestions for additions, please send them my way.
Is there a way to make that searchable, Lisa? Like, I know it's like kind of text form, but is there a way to make it like database searchable?
That's a good question. I have, so I don't know if you go into Google and you put, Howard County Veterans, my website pops up pretty much all the time. So in the directories listed there, they would have to, obviously go to the website, but there's a quick link for that. Other than that, I don't know, but I'm open to figuring it out. If somebody wants to help me. Yeah, and as far as Dana, your question about VSOs, the directory, the challenge with that is a lot of the local VFWs, and American Legions, they have really limited budgets as it is, and they have usually a core list of organizations that they already give to, what do you call it, the honor flights, or their local Boys State. Like my son went to Boys State, they fund students who go there. So I hesitate on opening it up too much, like having a sort of master list, because they are also very county specific, and not that they wouldn't help any veteran, but they're going to want to help their county resident first. And they're going to ask a lot of questions. So for instance, I had a veteran who, success story, 7 years living in his car, took 8 months, many touches, is permanently housed, so needs a job, and he has 2 storage units that he wants help being paid for. Well, if you ask the question, okay, you have a permanent housing now, why do you need storage? We'll help you get rid of it, sell it, downsize it, whatever, but they don't feel like that's a good use of their money. And I understand that. So, there's a lot of questions that come with it, and that takes time. So anyway, I throw that out there, not to be cynical, but just to be realistic that it's, again, always a challenge to find funding.
And that it's usually not the one need, that there's some other co-occurring need that's happening. So kind of like
Yes.
Dana said, buying that time just to get to the source and the root cause analysis of what's really going on there to make that
Yep.
referral. So 2 quick questions for you. One, if we send you updates and assuming whatever you got to do to vet them before they get in, how soon are those updates reflected on the
I
guide?
try to get them done quarterly. So, because my communications team, actually, if you look at it, it's very pretty. I can't format all that. It's in some really pretty graphic program that I don't have access to. But our communications team, which is 1.5 people, I usually send her a list quarterly, and then she quickly updates it, and then it goes and it gets downloaded to my website. So fairly quick.
Okay, so just in terms of not reinventing the wheel and working smarter for everybody. So we have your permission that, let's say if somebody has a website, they don't have to go and recreate this thing and rebrand it and do it, just literally link it back to the Howard County one and put in some context that even though it's Howard
Absolutely.
County, it's everybody. So there you go, everybody. You now have permission.
100%. I like to share. We're all in this together. There are no county lines.
John, I saw you unmuted. I didn't know if you wanted to chime in. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. So X, I want to be cognizant of time. Do we have time for some more, or can we jump into folks? If you have any events or anything that you want to share that are coming up that you want to highlight. I know the MDVA newsletter just came out last week and it'll be coming out again next week. Lisa Terry's out of Howard County's newsletter just came out today or yesterday. So if you want to give me a prompt, X, on how much time I have before I jump over to Yolanda real quick.
Yeah, let's jump on over to updates and upcoming events.
Perfect. Thank you. And how long do we have to get through that?
About 5 minutes.
All right, there we go. Hey, Yolanda.
Hey, Cynthia, I'm just wanted to give a quick update. Today's meeting was very informative. I wanted to let everyone know what Boost Our Families is doing. We closed our annual military family lifestyle survey in July. We don't have stats to share, but I will tell you, I'm proud to say that we have a very large number of veterans who participated. And so I'm really excited about that. As we listen, share, partner, and act, we are designing events to lean into what people are requesting. So one of the things that we are doing for our welcome week, and I'll send it to Dr. X following our meeting, is a Nourish the Service event that is in collaboration with the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes. We did one in New Jersey in August, and we will have a food truck delivery at Fort Meade. So on the 27th of September, we will receive 24 pallets of food and personal hygiene items. We need volunteers in order to support that. And then on the 28th, it's a food distribution. We hope to impact 400 different families. It is open to active duty, Guard, Reserve, veterans, civilian family members who need the support. During that event, there's going to be some resource tables that will assist. And then finally, our Welcome Week event is coming up on the 1st of October. That is in collaboration with Lisa Terry and Howard County government. The event is titled Stronger Together. We're in the last final stages of getting that event out to the public. The registration is out, but we are just having some information and publicity. At any rate, 200 plus people will be there. The title is Stronger Together. People who have moved to the area in the past 12 to 15 months, again, active duty, veterans, etc., is where we are going to embrace them and welcome them to the community. I'll put into chat our link for the events on the Baltimore webpage. Thanks so much.
I just put it in there for you, Yolanda.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yolanda, are you looking for, are there additional resource tables available for any of those events? Are you looking for volunteers for any of those events? Are you just looking for us to spread the word to our respective organizations?
Yes, yes, all of the above. And so I will put some of the sign up Genius information. I'll just send it all to Dr. X so that everyone can see what's going on. Busy times everywhere. And yes, we do need volunteers. We are solidified for the resource tables for the 1st of October. However, I really need a contact if anyone has one. I have not had a response for a nutritionist at the Kimbrough Hospital for the food distribution event on the 28th. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, Julie, you're up.
All right, thank you. The Veterans Curation Program, our closest location is in Alexandria, Virginia, but we have locations across the country. Our next session is starting, I believe it's going to be November 7th. So we are currently taking applications. We're looking to hire. We'll be conducting interviews pretty shortly, actually. Usually do it at the end of September. So if you have a post 9/11 veteran who can get to Alexandria, we are able to be accessed by the commuter rails from Maryland and Virginia, as well as driving. We're hiring starting soon. We're looking for honorable discharges, but again, it's a 5-month program. We help with finding a job after that. They get paid during the time at the BZP to work on finding a job or their resume, or we call it PGD, professional growth and development, whatever is coming next for that veteran. We're there to help them, guide them towards that. And it is a paid position, so it pays pretty well. It's a good opportunity to kind of take a moment for the veteran to figure out what's going on with them, what they need, what we can help with, what's going next, or what they're going to next and how to get there. During that time, they're going to be working for, it's a contract under the Army Corps of Engineers. Like I said, it does pay pretty well, and it's anywhere from 20 to 40 hours a week. So we can work with you on how many hours they need. Thanks.
Thanks, Julie. And where can we get info about the competencies or what you're looking for in the position or what they can get out of it?
Yep. It is veteranscurationprogram.org. I have it in the chat, but if anybody has any questions about it, please let me know. All of the contact me options on the website go to me. So, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in whatever way.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, I'm looking around the room. Anybody else? Some events that you've got coming up? And I'm sorry, Dr. X, I know I normally look at the time and go, he gave me 5 minutes, and I have the countdown in my head, but feel free to cut me off at any time. Anything else? Otherwise, throw it in the chat, get it to Dr. X, and we can consolidate it. Go ahead, Danny.
Well, Cynthia, you know that we have one coming up here, actually. So I was waiting for you to actually talk about it, but October 22nd, we have a day at ease. There's a few organizations actually it started from a collaborative, just like one of these, actually, a Serving Together collaborative. We've come together. We're just going to put together an event for veterans. It's an amazing, fun day at Foxy G Horse Rescue Farm in Frederick County, right on the Carroll County sort of border, and I think it'll be easy access, but we will start sending some more information out about that. But it's October 22nd. It's for veterans, active duty, family members. It's a full day. There'll be bounce houses, fun events to do with like the horses. There's like a pony kissing booth. There's going to be food trucks. We're going to have a band. So it should be a really fun day. It's going to become October 22nd. No cost, of course, to the veterans. We got some local wineries and breweries that are going to be helping us out there too. So no cost to attend for anybody, and excited to get that out there.
All right. And with that, Dr. X, I'll pass it back to you. And I am dropping the link to the Facebook event that's on there, and you guys can check that out, and they'll be kind of the group that's planning this event will be posting updates as we get closer, talking about what some of those activities are, who those confirmed food trucks are. It is very family friendly, so there'll be plenty of stuff for your kids to do. So let them go enjoy those things while you relax on the farm if you have not been there. Just pulling into that, you'll immediately start feeling at ease, just to let you know. Live music, all that. Thanks, Danny.
And thank you, Cynthia. Truly appreciate you facilitating the discussion. Also, Beatrice, thank you for showing off your subject matter expertise. We're coming up to the 9 o'clock hour. I love to give people an opportunity to take a break before their back-to-back meetings. I do want to give an update. I will be shifting over to contractor here on Friday. I will go from full-time to contractor. So we are looking for a new Central Maryland program manager. So if you know someone who would love to fill this position, it's out there on the streets. It's just some professional and personal obligations that emerged unexpectedly, but I'll still be part of the team. You'll still see me in these collaboratives and at events and opportunities. But I will be in a part-time contractor role. And with that, our next meeting, like I mentioned at the beginning, we're rotating through the counties and we're rotating through the pain points or the major issues that we're having in Central Maryland. So next month, our meeting will be on October the 12th, and we will have Baltimore County veteran community leaders leading that discussion. But also the topic will be housing and shelter. So with that said, again, October the 12th, led by Baltimore, and we will talk about housing and shelter in that meeting. So with that said, you all have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week and see you later. Take care.
Thank
Out here.
you.
Everybody.